unsaid, in particular his homosexuality and unhappy marriage. Discretion is more palatable sometimes than openness. Faithfulness to his memory has included preserving unsullied the picture of him as the innocent boy in the Weald of Kent, the sporting youth, the fox-hunting man, the brave warrior, the conscientious protester, the amiable host and friend. He was all those things, but he is not diminished by the more complex picture of him which is now emerging. Sassoon's reputation as a poet rests in the main on the poetry he wrote during the First World War, but that is a fraction of his output. To understand what happened to him after the war, one must read the poetry of personal exploration published in the 1930s and 50s. Without these, any attempt at understanding his life would be incomplete. My real biography is my poetry. All the sequence of my development is there. Sassoon is not one of the great poets, but he is a significant one. Obviously, the war poems and his influence on other poets have secured his reputation, but so too ought his last 3 volumes of poetry, which were combined to form the single-volume Sequences. Their reflections on his personal pilgrimage yet encompass universal longings and aspirations. Written during the Second World War and the years when the shadow of the atom bomb lay heavily across the path of the world, they have a prophetic quality and a timelessness. The rediscovery of these poems will, I hope, be one of the fruits of this biography. His prose work has fared better than his poetry. His 6 volumes of autobiography, which for convenience I call the Sassoon trilogy and the Siegfried trilogy, are not explanations of major world events or ideologies, but rather an exploration of an internal universe through the experience of the writer. Sassoon's alter ego, George Sassoon, tells his readers, "Remembering that I had a bath may not be of interest to anyone, but it was a good bath, and it is my own story that I am trying to tell, and as such it must be received. Those who expect a universalization of the Great War must look for it elsewhere. Here they will only find an attempt to show its effect on a somewhat solitary-minded young man." Sassoon's subject was always Sassoon. The personal nature of his work caused its decline in critical, though not in popular, esteem. Pasternak's chilling phrase in Dr. Zhivago, "The personal life is dead, history has killed it," could well be applied to the years when Sassoon was at his most productive as a writer. He feared for the individual life in an orgy of collectivism and relativism. In his final years, he was concerned that the scientific age would create a world which had no room for what Delamere called the imagination of the heart. Another friend, E.M. Forster, was equally engaged in the battle against busybodies, agencies, and philosophies which threatened individual freedom and artistic expression. It's a pity that Sassoon is often thought of as a purveyor of nostalgia. There was so much more to him and his work than that. It has been written that one could condemn the whole of the 20th century out of the mouth of Sassoon. A large claim. A lesser but more sustainable one is that this century is better understood by studying his life, his work, and his searchings. He was suspicious of the word progress. Modernization was another, when used as a general description. With wry humour, he stated that he liked the horse because it was impossible to modernize. Sassoon was also a tireless diarist. With few lapses, he chronicled his life between 1905 and 1956. Sir Rupert Hart-Davis, who has edited and published 3 volumes up to 1925, gave me access to the fine copies of the diaries housed in his collection at Cambridge University Library. Sassoon is here in all his moods: prickly, generous, taciturn, gossipy, juvenile, and avuncular. Every life is complicated, riven with inconsistencies, but Sassoon's unevenness, as these diaries reveal, was extraordinary. Turning their pages and lost in the narrative, one can hear his bass baritone voice as clearly as though listening to the 1956 BBC recording of him. Unlike his published prose, the style and use of language are at times convoluted.